Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Wynna Wong. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. COVID widens Hong Kong's wealth gap, and Oxfam calls on the government to provide urgent relief. Paul Chan says bold measures will be taken to revive the economy. And the Hang Seng Index surges from an 11-year low. The wealth gap in the city has widened by a staggering 47 times during COVID, according to Oxfam Hong Kong. Although the pandemic has eased, the charity urged the government to tackle poverty, saying those at the bottom of the ladder are still struggling to survive. Janice Low reports.
In its latest report, Hong Kong Poverty, the charity group Oxfam warned that the plight of the city's impoverished is at a tipping point. Based on official figures, the wealth gap widened over 47 times in the first quarter of this year, compared with 34.3 in the pre-COVID period. During the pandemic, the median monthly wage of the poorest 10% fell from $3,500 to $2,700, a drop of nearly 23%. But income for the richest 10% rose from $120,000 to $127,600, up 6.3%.
One reason is because of the frozen of the minimum wage, so the salary can't catch up with the inflation. And the other is that because of the pandemic, many low-skilled jobs are not viable right now. And so many poor people lost their job, and so their income continued to decrease sharply under these situations.
The minimum wage has been frozen at $37.50 since May 2019, although the Consumer Price Index has been rising. Oxfam hopes that when the Minimum Wage Commission carries out a review next month, it will raise the rate to $45.40. This would benefit at least 340,000 workers. Oxfam is also calling for an extension of temporary unemployment support for the needy. Although unemployment has dropped, the jobless rate among the poor stands at 26%, with most of those out of work aged 40 or above. The charity group has urged the government to make poverty alleviation a top priority in the policy address 2 weeks from today. Janice Low, HKIBC.
British airline Virgin Atlantic says it is pulling out of Hong Kong for good. The company said it was a difficult decision to suspend service between London and Hong Kong. After serving the Asian financial hub for almost 3 decades, Virgin will be closing its Hong Kong offices, affecting 46 jobs. The route has been suspended for the past 9 months because of Hong Kong's COVID measures, but had been expected to resume in March. Affected customers will be offered a refund voucher or an option to rebook. Financial Secretary Paul Chan says bold measures will be announced in the Chief Executive's policy address in 2 weeks. The aim is to attract talent and investment to counter the economic slump. Chloe Feng reports.
Speaking after an informal meeting with lawmakers, Financial Secretary Paul Chan again expressed concerns about the city's sluggish economy. He said rising interest rates, higher inflation, and geopolitical conflicts have worsened the external environment. Although the city is expected to record negative growth this year, Chan is optimistic about the medium to long term.
We will take a more proactive attitude to adopt bold measures to stimulate our economic development and provide new economic impetus. In about 2 weeks, the Chief Executive will be announcing his first policy address. In terms of attracting investments, in terms of attracting business talents, market facilitations, there are bold measures.
Chen is also confident that the Global Financial Summit next month will be a success. Although Hong Kong has yet to completely lift all restrictions for arrivals, he did not answer directly when asked if the city will scrap the 0+3 arrangement before that event, but said every effort will be made to resume social and economic activities in the shortest time. During the informal session, senior officials and legislators also discussed land supply, housing, transport and logistics, as well as innovation and technology. Chloe Fong, HKIBC.
Hong Kong's daily COVID caseload has risen slightly to 3,642. Of that number, 324 were imported. There were also 10 deaths. A total of 1,675 people remain in hospital with COVID, and 13 of them need intensive care. About a third of today's total infections came from over 600 schools across the city. Government redevelopment plans have forced factories to shut down or relocate. The authorities say sufficient notice has been given to those affected. Janice Lowe reports.
The city's development is forcing several factories that have operated for decades to move out. One of them is Wynna, a manufacturer of wine, vinegar, soy sauce, and seasonings. It's been in business for 8 decades, but will have to move out of its Tuen Mun premises by 2024 as the northern metropolis takes shape. But it says it has yet to get an official notification from the government. Turbo Ice will also have to move out. Its factory in Lam Tay produces around 800 tons or 20,000 packs of ice each day. Although it can stay at its premises until 2025, it is struggling to find an alternative site because of the vast amounts of water and electricity it needs to produce ice. The government will compensate owners, tenants, and occupants affected by land resumption and development clearance. But it's uncertain whether the amount is sufficient to reopen a business. Last week, workers from the Lands Department sealed off Chi Kee sawmill and timber, which has to vacate its Kutong premises. Some of the wood was sent to Y Park, a place that aims to recycle yard waste. There have been suggestions that plants forced to move out should be allowed to rent sites at a lower price. But Development Secretary Bernadette Lin said it is not part of government policy. She added factories were notified years before the deadline. Janice Lowe, HKIBC.
South Korean and U.S. forces have fired 4 missiles towards the East Sea in response to a North Korean weapons test. The night sky lit up when the missiles were fired. The joint military drill came after Pyongyang fired a ballistic missile over Japan yesterday. But the South Korean military was forced to apologize after one missile failed to lift off and caused a scare among residents of the coastal city of Gangneung. A famine is expected to be declared in Somalia soon, as hundreds of thousands of people seek urgent relief from a widespread drought. At least 1,000 children have already died from malnutrition, and the United Nations warns that the death toll among youngsters could soar to 500,000. In Dulo, southwest Somalia, Mohammed Ahmed Diriye and his entire family arrive at this refugee camp after having traveled hundreds of kilometers for 3 weeks. They are among the many internally displaced due to a severe dry spell this year. If you walk some distance out here, you will see lots of bones, lots of animal bones piled up on top of each other, he said. From all corners, the sight of these bones will shock you, not only here but throughout the region. Diriye said because of severe drought and political instability, he lost his livestock. And with the land barren, there is no means of employment. Children remain the most vulnerable to starvation.
We bury them. What else can we do? Said this displaced woman when asked about children who die on their journeys to these camps.
The child was admitted 4 days ago and came while the child was not even alert. The child was not even alert, was a bit unconscious when the child came in. But we resuscitated, put on medication, and that's why today at least we can see that we can note some improvement.
Somalis say the war between Ukraine and Russia has worsened the situation because it has sent the price of oil and wheat skyrocketing.
HSBC shares in Hong Kong surged 5.7% today after the banking giant indicated that it may sell its Canadian operations. HSBC Bank Canada is estimated to be worth $10 billion. It's the seventh largest bank in Canada, with more than 130 branches, employing over 5,000 people. Hong Kong's biggest bank says it's reviewing its options in Canada, and the exercise is still at an early stage. HSBC has been resisting efforts by its biggest shareholder, mainland insurer Ping An, to split up. The Hong Kong stock market has rallied from an 11-year low to close nearly 6% higher. This followed overnight gains in New York. Chloe Feng reports.
Investor jitters appeared to have eased on hopes of more moderate interest rate hikes, following a smaller than expected increase by Australia's central bank. The Hang Seng Index rose right from the start, soaring from an 11-year low to close up 5.9%, or 1,008 points at 18,087. It was the biggest single-session jump in 6 months, with revenue at $105 billion. Tech shares were big winners, with the tech index rocketing over 7.5%. Leading the rally was e-commerce platform JD.com, which jumped 10.1%. Heavyweights Alibaba and Meituan rose over 8% each, with Tencent climbing 5.8%. Companies that do business in Britain rose as the sterling rebounded. Standard Chartered jumped 7.2%. CK Asset and CK Hutchison climbed on the news that British telecoms giant Vodafone confirmed that it is in talks with Hutchison over combining their business. There was a mixed performance in the electric vehicle sector. BYD company advanced over 9% on its record-breaking sales last month. Geely also gained. But Brilliance Auto plunged a whopping 63% after it resumed trading following a 1.5-year suspension. Travel-related stocks advanced following encouraging travel data during the week-long National Day holidays on the mainland. Chloe Feng, HKIBC.
A look at the markets now. The Hang Seng Index closed up 1,008 points. Top 10 active stocks: Alibaba up $6.55, Tencent up $15.20. JD up $19.60, Ping An up $3.60. In foreign exchange rates, the euro is at 7.78, British pound 8.90. And in foreign markets, the UK FTSE is down 61 points. Finally, the weather. It will be sunny tomorrow with occasional showers. Temperatures will range between 26 and 30 degrees. Similar conditions till the end of the week. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. And that's our main news for Wednesday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Wynna Wong. Good night.